Welcome back to Forza Naples. My name's Ian, joined as always by Paul. Paul, that was a very rough week. We didn't recap the Charlotte game after a 5-1 defeat to Charlotte Independence on Wednesday. And then I think we were both just a little too upset. So we said, no, we won't record a podcast. That's fine, whatever. And then some time restraints. And then Sarasota came into town on Saturday and we lost 2-0. So I think that don't think I'm going too far in saying that was probably one of the worst weeks to be an FC Naples fan in the history of this very young club. Just in my mind, I don't think it's acceptable to lose two games at home, one of them being 5-1, the other one 2-0 to who's supposed to be a rival, with both strong lineups. And I know it's short rest and it's tough, but man, I was upset Saturday night, not going to lie.
Which one were you more upset about? Which result had you more upset?
I think the 5-1 was frustrating, but then to lose, turn around after the 5-1, basically you get dog walked at home, right? That was upsetting. Charlotte's really good. And we said that in the preview show. They're really good. We didn't play well at all. And we've got a late goal by Hudson Gay. Great to see him get on the score sheet, but we had so many shots, none of them really on target in that game. That one was frustrating. But then to turn around after that and lose 2-0 to your rival at home, who's not good. And the thing is, we played, I thought, decent, but it was just nothing up top. We weren't creating any chances. Sarasota knew what they were doing. They scored, first half 11 minutes in, and then they just plugged six guys in the box and parked the bus. And we had no way to break that down, and it was just incredibly frustrating to watch. So it's got to be, for me, the Sarasota game was by far the worst. Plus, I was in attendance for that one, thinking, okay, we're going to get a big bounce back. We're going to get a win here. It's Sarasota. They're not very good, and it was nothing. So hopefully that's a long-winded answer to your question of which one frustrated me more, but it was definitely the Sarasota one.
Yeah, we talk about get right spots a lot. I feel like I say that more often than not on this show. And that's what Saturday should have been. And that's probably why we saw a strong lineup in a tournament that, for all intents and purposes, we were probably going to get bounced from, regardless of our poor form. Like we weren't going to advance in the Prince Tire Cup, but you can't lose to little brother. Giving up that early goal and not being able to score is frustrating. I kind of saw the Independence game going poorly. It was a total homer take to pick a draw. I will admit that. I think Charlotte, I was very confident they were going to come beat us. I didn't think that they were going to stop us. At least we got the goal at the end to kind of ease the burn a little bit. But then you're, like you said, you're turning around. You're like, okay, if nothing else this year, we'll beat Sarasota. And I think I would have been upset if we would have done a preview. I would have said that we need to win, but we need to, at a minimum, look good in a draw. Losing was not ever on the bingo card for me. I never thought a loss was in the cards. And watching that game, it's just like, will we score 2 goals again this year? Because as great as it is to have a phenomenal defense like we have, at the end of the day, if we cannot score multiple goals, then you really are never going to win. And I know, again, that sounds very simple. Like the only option is to win 1-0. Yes, but you give up an early goal, you have no hope for a win, right? You get a goal early. Now you're sitting back saying we can't let anything fluky go in. And it does seem like that happens a lot, that it's a turnover or a bad pass or a lazy set piece defensive structure that they get a goal, and we just don't. It just doesn't happen for us, and I think that's what's frustrating is that every team we're playing gets these bounces or sees a, intercepts a lazy pass. And I don't think it's a player's problem necessarily because we have had good looks. We just can't finish. So I don't know what, and hoping that on this show you can provide some sort of insight of what you think we could do to turn this around because I got nothing.
Yeah, it seemed that Sarasota game, we were creating chances early. The Charlotte game, I just kind of at this point I'm ready to completely forget about and move on from. Because that one, I think we played well for 11 minutes, then we gave up a free
Mhm.
kick, they score, and then it was at that point it was over. Although I was joking, my scoreline prediction of 4-4 was still very much in play at halftime when we were down 3-0.
Was that you who made that joke, or did I make that joke to you?
You made that joke to me, and I was very proud of it at that point. But yeah, that was just frustrating. So we'll move on from the Charlotte game. We're just going to pretend like that game never happened. Like you said, the Sarasota game, perfect spot for a get right game. We kind of come out swinging. We had a couple chances. It looked like, oh, okay, maybe we're going to create something, and then we give up a goal. 11 minutes in, another silly goal, just silly free kick to give away. Easy, like just let's leave the tallest guy unmarked in the box. It's like one of those where we just switch off, they score from it. Okay, now we got to fight back. And then Sarasota, I think hats off to them because tactically they just loaded up 6 guys in the box and said, we know you guys are going to try and play down the wings and cut it back. You're not going to be able to do that anymore. And we weren't. And then we were trying to play through channels and trying to break down that back 6, and they have a bunch of big guys back there, and they said no. And we weren't able to break them down, which I think was the really frustrating thing because we've got really talented players, and it was just they were all getting frustrated and nothing was happening from it. And it was so many times it seemed we would get into the final third, not know what to do because we're looking up at 6 defenders, and then we would just play a negative ball back down to the wings or the center backs and then try to restart. And it was just that over and over and over again. And it was just beyond frustrating to watch. I just wanted to let these guys loose and say, okay, come on, like let's show some creativity. Let's try to break these guys down. And it doesn't seem like anyone was able to do that on Saturday night. And like, I'm sorry to lose 5-1 at home and then lose 2-0 at home. Yes, it's the Brinks Tires Cup, which we're officially eliminated from now. But like you said, we're probably not going to move on after that early Miami loss. We're not going to move on from that one. So it's still a rivalry game, though, and it's a home game. And there's not many of these left. I think I counted there's 8 home games left in the season. And you go out and we blow 2 leads. We just blow 2 games like that at home in 1 week. It's frustrating, and I think fans were kind of leaving there with their heads down, and it's hopefully the 3 losses in a row now is going to serve as a big wake-up call that we need to figure out something else because it's just not working.
Yeah, normally you come to this podcast, you probably tuned into this hoping that we would be a little more positive. And I will stand by what I said last week, and I will not hit the panic button until 1 game after our next matchup against Charlotte. Because guess who we play again next Saturday is Charlotte. So it, again, doesn't get easier. And then we have to go on the road to Chattanooga, which isn't an easy place to play, but they're not very good. So like that's got to be, we went. I won't go back to the list. We did it last week. We do have a good run of games where we should be able to pick up points, and they need to be wins. Looking at the table right now, we are between us and 13th place. We are one of 3 teams. I'm sorry. We are one of 2 teams with 1 win and have the fewest amount of points in our last 5. So we're sitting in 5th, which if you just look at the point total seems really good until you start looking at all 3 other teams below us in the playoffs right now have 2 or 3 less games played than us and are both 3 points away from catching us or fewer. And then going down all the way to 13th, which is Chattanooga. Yes, they only have 10 points on the year, but they've only played 8 games. They got 5 games to make up 7 points. Um, we're in a fortunate situation that we have so many games played and a few wins on the year that have given us a buffer, but it's going to go quick. That lead that we have. So, I'm not optimistic looking ahead on the week, and I know we'll do a preview later in the week for that. But if I almost and I've gone back and forth on this, like should Poland have played our best guys? Right, it was a no win situation. Right, if the best guys go out there and win, whatever. It's Sarasota, who isn't as bad as you say. They're sitting in 11th right now. I think now, including all comps, is 3 wins in a row. Um, right, but if you put out your subs and we lose 2-0, I don't think we're as frustrated. Still disappointed, but not as frustrated and borderline angry about how the team is playing. And I don't know what the answer is. And maybe it's like you said, we cut the guys loose and we play more forward. Um, but teams kind of know if they put 6 in the box, we're not gonna score. And as long as I've been watching soccer for the past 6 years, I've not figured out how teams score against the park bus. I just don't know, other than worldly goals, which we seem to not get very often.
Yeah, I think we're clearly missing like a true goal, someone that's capable of hitting a shot that can go in. It doesn't seem like anyone really has the confidence to shoot outside the box. And still, we created chances. It's just we don't have that finishing capability, that final, like, sharp edge to finish. And we saw Jalen Yearwood. I think he could be a good solution there at right back instead of trying to plug a midfielder in there. It was just compared to Cisneros, everything was negative from him. A lot of not necessarily in his performance, but just everything was backwards, and it was trying to play back through the back. So I think he's going to need some time to kind of bed in. But we just didn't have that nice edge. So hopefully, I know we talked about it last episode. I think there's some more signings kind of in the works. So we're hoping, that those guys can bring something else to the table. But right now it seems like we're, like you said, I don't know how we're going to get another goal because teams have kind of figured us out in that let's put 6 guys, let's load up the box, let's not let them play balls across, and we will shut them down. And then we're able to hit them on the counterattack because we know they're going to get their numbers forward. And it's really frustrating, I think. And I think I left that game like, are we going to score another goal all season? Which, we did get the goal against Charlotte, but that was a great Hudson Gay goal where he just comes streaking in the box, and Charlotte had kind of switched off at that point because they're up 5-0. But
5-0.
It's frustrating, and I don't know how many times we can say how frustrated we both are, but man.
And as a fan base, I think the ownership group, I think the team, I think they want a fan base that's upset with their performance because that shows passionate fans, and I think that's what we want to build with this club is a passionate fan base. And if it's always, oh, this is great, things are good when they're not, that's how you build a bad culture. Uh, we hold this team to a high expectation. They hold themselves to a high expectation. I am sure that they have been in meetings and film sessions and on the training ground trying to figure it out. But I think that's, you have to, when you're in a rut like this, you can't just say, oh, we'll get out of it eventually when we play Westchester, which luckily we beat them. Need the Cosmos to come to town desperately, but if we want to be this serious club, we need to win games against good teams. And we can say as much as we want how good Charlotte is. and they've won so many games recently. I'd have to scroll a few times to find a loss on their results, but it just feels like right now those top four clubs are the top four clubs in the league, and Union, Omaha, Knox, Charlotte, and Spokane, all with less games than us, and all with three or more points ahead of us. I think Union, Omaha not winning the league would be a fumble. So as long as they're not the Arsenal types, they'll probably win the regular season title. And it really just seems like we need to be the best of kind of that middle pack right now to find ourselves in the playoffs and have a chance to go on the road and do something. Because the way it's going, making the playoffs would be a successful season at this point.
Yes. I think to go back to your point about the passion, it's been, it has, although the results haven't gone our way, clearly, seeing the passion that's there in this club that's, a year and a half old now. I mean, obviously there's all the buildup beforehand, but like since playing their first game, we're about a year and a half old. And hearing and listening to fans walk out of there upset and then thinking of different ways to fix it, like that was pretty cool to see. Like the fan base, like you said, they're not happy with what they're seeing and they're voicing their opinion. And, that's well within their right. And it's kind of, as leaving there, it did make me think like, all right, like we've got something going here that this many people are upset by their Saturday night and the result on the field. Like, and it's still a great atmosphere, still a lot of fun, but obviously you want the team to win, and everyone's kind of invested and all in on this team, which was cool to see. Really cool to see. Then to your point too about the table, yeah, I think those four teams with Omaha, Knox, Charlotte, and Spokane have been really hot, but there's so many ups and downs, and I think as well the talent pool has almost been more diluted with the more teams coming in and, MLS Next Pro expanding, and there's so many different options for players. As well as the USL Championship expanding. Like we're seeing more and more of these clubs pop up and more options for players. So I think that talent pool is almost getting diluted and it's evening things out a bit more across the league. Yes, you clearly have those four teams, and I even throw like Fort Wayne in there because they found something now. They're hot. Boise, I thought was really hot, but then they go and lose to Sarasota Paradise. So who knows with them? But I think there's still a lot of soccer to be played here. You look at, I think the average games played across the league is about 10. So it's a lot of soccer still left to be played. Like you said, we can't hit the panic button yet, but we know we've got to turn something around and figure something out fast. Otherwise, these teams are going to start catching up to us, having played, the most games in the league of 13. We're going to need to figure something out and fast.
And again, I think I said it this last week as well. If we could sim 1 week and be talking, I think we would have a more positive spin of, all right, how can we fix this with this run of games? Can we find a 3-game win streak that safely keeps us in that, middle of the playoff pack versus, the daunting task of going to Charlotte, who just throttled you. And I think the the performance Saturday wasn't terrible, right? If you change the name on
No,
the opponent, I think if you change the name on the opponent, there's less frustration. Um, it's just the fact that it was Sarasota that caused a little bit of that frustration. I think you can live with the way we played. And again, early in the year, we said where are the goals going to come from? We had a couple good games earlier and thought, oh, we're good, and we're not. I think that question still looms over our head: is where are the goals going to come from? Because the days of gutting out 1-0 wins is going to be few and far between. I think we've done it once this year, so gotta find a way to win more games and really just turn some of these losses into draws. We have played the most games, like you mentioned, but Paradise is the only team with fewer losses on their cards than us right now, and we're pretty low in the draw category. Um, so that's what's going to separate that middle of the pack team is who can turn a loss into a draw late in games. And right now it's not us. Um, and again, we have some help things. And once we kind of get that full complement of players back, I think we're finding something with our shape and the guys in the lineup and just need them to be on the same page. Um, and maybe take some more chances, get to just outside of the box and fire something on target. Don't try to score the worldie, but make the goalie make a save and maybe he parries it to the foot of a Bachenstein or a Garcia and they're right there for a finish. It seems like every shot we take outside of the box just sails wide or trickles in harmlessly. There's no extracurriculars after that shot goes on. And I think the
Mm-hmm.
chaos fact we don't have that chaos factor on offense. There's we have it, we send a cross in, and it either gets headed over the bar or cleared out. There's no balls bouncing around in the box a few times, and we got to put a foot, a good boot through the ball and find the back of the net. That doesn't exist right now. And it's going to be hard with six guys in the box every time because everybody knows
Mm-hmm.
we can't score and let's put six in the box. They'll do one of those crazy crosses. We'll head it out to our winger and let them go make a play. Um, and yeah, so I think something's got to change. I just don't have the answer, and I hate to be the guy that says we have a problem, but doesn't provide a solution. So I'm hoping that you have something that you think that tactically or positionally or lineup wise that we could change to see a spark.
Yeah, I think I'd love to see just some more like free flowing football and just say like, okay, yeah, let's go take on our man. Let's go go beat your man 1v1 and do something with the ball. It felt like on Saturday we were able, like they were allowed to do that, but then it was just for like the players were getting frustrated along with the fans that they couldn't get anything going in that final third, and it almost looked like nobody wanted to have the ball at certain points, and then we would do something and make a play, or like you mentioned, the keeper fumbling the ball. Their keeper could not hold on to the ball all night. It seemed he would come out for a pass, drop it, and then no one would be there for the rebound. And you could see whoever had put in that shot that was finally on goal was getting frustrated with, hey guy, like come on, we gotta work together here. So hopefully too, this is just we can figure something out, something will click and try something new. I don't know if that's a new formation or just adjusting where these guys are playing. But if we're gonna have a slump like we're in now, I think now is definitely the time to do it
Mhm.
compared to later in the year. Like if we can get everyone back healthy, get everyone firing in all cylinders, really have a squared, a great starting 11 that we know we can put out week in and week out come, mid September and just get into the playoffs and go in on a hot streak, who knows what could happen. I think we've got the talent there. It's just getting everyone back healthy, back to 100%, playing the right guys in the right positions, and then figuring out where these goals are going to come from. Because they knew, I think, with Backstein, I think they knew what he was all about, and they said, we're going to take you out of the game because we're basically going to leave two guys with you, and you're not going to be able to poach a goal. And when that happens, you could tell he was frustrated. Everyone else was frustrated because they're trying to get balls into his feet, and they can't because there's two defenders around him. So I know that's not a solid answer, but I don't. Same to your point. I think I'm doing the same thing where it's like we've got a problem, and I'm not sure exactly how to fix it, but we've I know we need to. And hopefully
Mhm.
we can in one of these games coming up, and we'll be sitting back here like, have we figured it out? Have we stopped the leak? And we're able to sail on smoothly for the rest of the season.
Yeah, and just to end on a lighter note, you know who's the happiest person probably on the planet with this result? It's probably the official from Saturday night who had a poor performance. We just were so
Yeah.
bad that you can't put any of the onus on the officiating, but just kind of gonna throw it out there. It wasn't great, but we were worse
No,
and
no, it was, yeah. This was the same official too. I thought she looked familiar. This is the same official that sent off Joel Serrano last year when we were away at Portland, 7 minutes in, and then Henderlong, I think, after he got a second yellow for time wasting, I want to say. So that was kind of funny. But yeah, it was, to her credit, I think it was kind of bad in both directions where
Correct.
we were getting random advantages where it was still like, okay, we don't want the advantage. They've got six guys in the box. Just call the foul 30 yards out.
Yeah.
And then the one time we actually wanted the advantage and Backstein gets the ball and he's 1v1 with his man, that's when the whistle goes for the foul. So that was all happened in the first half, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, what are we doing?" But then we had a foul that was given right outside the box that happened right in front of me, and I think that was a good 2.5 yards inside the box. Should have been a penalty. I don't think it was a foul. I thought he got the ball, but anyway, that's I don't think that's the reason why we lost. There
Yeah,
was
we won't talk.
no
We
questionable
won't talk
penalty
about
claims, but
the handball potentially. The handball that ends
on
up
the
being a
second goal,
goal.
I thought it was a handball or that he was offside. The camera angle, it's hard to tell. I
He
think
definitely wasn't offsides.
he
I
was held
definitely
on by it looked like McGletty just barely
Migletti.
held him on.
Yeah, yeah.
But
But
yeah,
the handball's
I thought the ball
tough.
skimmed off of his leg, hit his hand outstretched, and then he played the pass. To me, I thought that was a handball because I don't think he plays the pass if it doesn't hit his hand. But nonetheless, it was another that just kind of I think added to the frustration.
Yeah. No, it was a frustrating week, and I think that also makes it worse. Is you kind of get that false hope that hey, 2 days and we're back in action, bounce back spot. Let's show that we are a good team. I'm not saying that we aren't. We just didn't show it on Saturday, um, and now we're looking ahead to a Charlotte team that is really good and just spoke to us. So not a lot, uh, not a lot to look forward to over the next 7 days for our club. But luckily, there might be a different competition worth watching the next couple of weeks.
Yes, we do have FIFA World Cup kicking off, so that'll be exciting. But yeah, um, hopefully that can bring us some joy. And who knows, maybe with a week of rest now, Charlotte has a midweek game against Omaha. We'll come back and we'll do a full preview to that one, I think, after they play Omaha on Wednesday. But maybe we can catch them out and give them their first loss. Or maybe we could just take a gritty 1-1 or 0-0 draw off of them on the road.
Hmm.
I think we said when we previewed that one, would you take a point now against this team across these two games? And I think we were both in agreement. Yes, we obviously wanted more, but that point opportunity is still there, and maybe we're just gonna make it a more difficult bounce back game for us now on next Saturday.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like you said, the slump's going to happen during the year. Luckily, it's now, and we've got time to make changes and find a winning streak somewhere along the road, and a lot of games left, 20 some games left to play. So
Yeah, I think the best way forward is this has probably been one of the more depressing episodes we've ever done. Um, then that includes when we just talked about our favorite airports for a couple minutes last season. Um, but I think our best way forward is we take what we've learned from this, we burn the tapes, we flush it down, and move on, and let's just restart. Starting on Saturday, fresh start. Let's go out there and complete reset. That's a really hard thing to do mentally, but I think these guys are capable of it. And let's flush it down. We move on, start fresh on Saturday, brand new season. Let's go. Paul, anything else you want to add here before we wrap up on a frustration filled episode?
no, I will say I really enjoyed our airport conversation last season. That was one of my favorite episodes. Understanding that the fans of the show did not enjoy the episode, so that's why we haven't talked about airports in a while. We've hit it in there behind our travel schedule. when we go down that path. But yeah, I like the mantra of flush the tapes. A really bad performance and an okay performance, bad result, and let's move forward and try to start a week ahead of schedule for this comeback trail.
Yeah. A lot of soccer still to be played. Let's reset it on Saturday and go back, start fresh, and let's get hot at the right time. And, still a lot of games to be played. We still have a lot to look forward to this season. And I think these guys are more than capable of doing it. So that's going to do it for this episode here of the Forza Naples podcast. Be sure to share the podcast with all of your friends and other fans of the team. Be sure to follow us on social media at Forza Naples Pod on Instagram and Twitter. You can email us at forzanaples239@gmail.com. We are working on getting a few things of trivia to come up here, as well as a few World Cup preview shows that should be coming out soon. So be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast app to be notified when those episodes come out. We'll also post them on social media. But yeah, thank you all so much for listening. And until next time, Forza Naples.